The orchard lay bathed in the cold silver light of the moon, shadows weaving between the ancient trunks like whispers of the past. Eamon moved silently among the trees, his gloved hands tracing the rugged bark, feeling the faint pulse of the souls ensnared within. Each tree was a monument to a fallen monarch, their legacies entwined in the gnarled roots and heavy boughs that bore cursed fruit. Tonight, the air was thick with a strange stillness, a silence that spoke volumes, as if the orchard itself was holding its breath. Eamon's eyes, dark and deepened by years of solemn vigil, lingered on a particular tree near the orchard's heart. Its bark was scarred with ancient runes, faintly glowing under the moon's gaze. This was the tree of King Caldor, the orchard's first sovereign soul, whose tragic tale had been etched into the very fabric of this sacred place. As Eamon knelt before the tree, a chill ran through him. The memories were coming unbidden, like a flood he had long tried to dam. The garden's whispers grew louder, the voices of the fallen king stirring in the night air. Eamon closed his eyes, letting the voices wash over him. Each soul carried a story of betrayal and sacrifice, but none more poignant than that of Caldor. Centuries ago, Caldor had ruled a prosperous kingdom, beloved by his people and trusted by his council. Yet in the shadows, his closest advisor, a man named Dranar, conspired against him. The betrayal was swift and brutal, a poisoned chalice, a staged uprising, a kingdom plunged into chaos. Caldor's spirit was bound to the orchard's soil by the ancient magic of the grove, his soul imprisoned within a cursed fruit that glowed faintly blue, a beacon of sorrow and eternal vigilance. Eamon's breath caught as the vision faded, leaving him alone beneath the tree once more. The weight of Caldor's fate pressed heavily upon him, a mirror to his own haunted past. His family had fallen victim to a previous siege, lost to the very invaders who now sought the orchard's power. That loss had forged his purpose, but also shackled him in solitude and guilt. Old Bran appeared quietly beside him, his stooped frame silhouetted against the moonlight. The old guardian's eyes shone with a mixture of wisdom and wariness as he began to recount the orchard's origins. His voice was low and steady, weaving a tapestry of history that spanned centuries, stories of kings and queens, of betrayal and valor, of curses born from greed and desperation. The orchard was born of betrayal, Bran intoned, a sanctuary forged to hold the souls of those who could not find peace in death. Each fruit is a vessel, a prison, and a legacy. To guard them is to bear the burden of their pasts and to face the darkness that would seek to claim their power. Eamon listened, the old tale stirring a fierce resolve within him, yet also deepening his isolation. The orchard was not just a place of magic. It was a crucible of pain and sacrifice. As the night deepened, the distant sounds of movement stirred Eamon from his reverie. Beyond the orchard's borders, the rustle of armored mercenaries grew louder, their dark banners unfurling like shadows against the crimson blush of dusk. The invaders were coming, led by Lord Marek, whose hunger for power was as relentless as the decay creeping through the orchard's edges. Scylla stood close, her fiery hair a stark contrast to the somber woods. Her green eyes met Eamon's with a fierce determination, yet the weight of her own family's history with the orchard lay heavy between them. Together, they faced the approaching storm, bound by shared purpose and the unspoken understanding that the orchard's fate rested on their shoulders. Eamon's heart tightened as the echoes of betrayal intertwined with the present threat. The orchard's roots ran deep with sorrow and sacrifice, and its protection demanded a price, one he was only beginning to comprehend. As the first signs of the invaders' encroachment stirred the leaves, Eamon steeled himself. The coming days would test not only his skill and knowledge, but the very core of his spirit. He lifted his ancient pruning knife, its blade gleaming faintly in the moonlight, and whispered a vow to the orchard and the kings it sheltered. "I will not let you fall again." The orchard listened, its silent witness to centuries of loss and hope. And beneath the heavy boughs, the cursed fruit pulsed faintly, waiting for the next chapter in its eternal cycle. Yet, even as resolve burned bright, a shadow lingered, the isolation that gnawed at Eamon's soul, the fear that the betrayal of old might yet find new life. Would he stand alone against the coming darkness, or could the fractured bonds of trust be mended in time? These questions hung in the night air unanswered, as the orchard held its breaths, more waiting, watching, enduring. At the first light of dawn, a restless wind stirred the leaves of the orchard, carrying with it a faint but unmistakable clamor far beyond the ancient tree's protective boughs. Eamon stood at the edge of the grove, his gaze piercing the morning mist that clung to the horizon like a shroud. The silence that had long guarded the orchard was shattered footsteps, the harsh clinking of armor, and the low murmur of soldiers preparing for battle. His heart tightened beneath the weight of his solemn duty. Beside him, Sila's gaze was sharp and unwavering, her fingers deftly mixing herbs into a simmering concoction within a small iron cauldron. The fiery strands of her hair caught the amber glow of the rising sun, lending her an almost ethereal presence against the orchard's muted earth tones. "They come sooner than I feared," she whispered, her voice laced with both resolve and unease. Eamon nodded, drawing his ancient pruning knife from its worn leather sheath, a blade etched with runes that hummed faintly with latent magic. "We have little time. The orchard must not fall to their greed." The first wave of mercenaries appeared like shadows breaking through the mist, hulking figures clad in dark armor, their faces obscured beneath grim helmets. Fenric, their mercenary captain, stood at their forefront, his eyes cold and unyielding as he surveyed the grove. With a guttural shout, the attackers surged forward, weapons raised to tear into the sanctuary Eamon had sworn to protect. Eamon moved swiftly, his hands weaving through the air as he whispered incantations in a tongue older than any living memory. The cursed fruits hanging heavy on the branches began to glow with a spectral light, their surfaces shimmering with an otherworldly energy. Scylla poured her herbal mixtures onto the roots of the nearest trees, the ground itself responding with a faint tremor. Suddenly, the orchard seemed alive, branches coiled like serpents, leaves rustled with unnatural vigor, and the fruits pulsed as if breathing. A burst of power erupted from the grove, a radiant wave washing over the advancing mercenaries, forcing them back with cries of pain and surprise. The scent of crushed herbs mingled with the acrid tang of burning wood, filling the air with a potent reminder of the orchard's magic. Yet the invaders were not deterred for long. Fenric barked sharp commands, and the mercenaries regrouped with brutal efficiency, pressing the attack with renewed ferocity. Their siege tactics revealed a ruthless adaptability, cutting down saplings and clearing paths toward the orchard's heart. The clash of steel rang out like thunder, punctuated by the anguished cries of both man and tree. In the midst of the chaos, Eamon found a moment to crouch beside a young sapling, its bark scarred and bleeding a sap as dark as blood. He placed a hand upon the tree's trunk and closed his eyes, reaching out with his mind to the soul imprisoned within the cursed fruit. The monarch's voice was faint, a whisper born of centuries, laden with sorrow and warning. "They seek more than our strength," the soul murmured. "Their hunger is not for power alone, but for what lies beneath the secret that binds us all." Eamon's breath caught in his throat. The invader's greed was a surface wound. Beneath it lurked something far graver. A shadow stretched over the orchard, and with it, the realization that the coming battle would demand sacrifices he had yet to fathom. The first strike had been repelled, but the war for the orchard's soul was only beginning. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the bloodied earth, Eamon and Scylla prepared for the storm to come, their hearts steeled against the darkness encroaching upon their sacred charge. The whispering leaves carried a solemn truth. The orchard's fate and the souls it guarded hung precariously on the edge of a blade. The shadows beneath the ancient branches of the orchard were thickening, the dusk settling over the soul-bound trees like a heavy cloak. Eamon stood silently, his gaze tracing the darkened outlines of the orchard's perimeter, where flickers of movement betrayed the vigilant eyes of sentinels. The siege had settled into a tense lull, but the threat from Lord Marik's forces gnawed incessantly at the edges of his mind. Beside him, Scylla shifted restlessly, her fiery hair catching the last golden slants of daylight. "We cannot hold this ground alone much longer," she whispered, her voice low but edged with fierce determination. "The orchard needs more than just our hands and herbs. We need allies, those who know these woods and shadows better than we do." Eamon's gaze hardened. Trust was a scarce commodity in these times, especially after the betrayals that had already shaken their fragile defenses. Yet Scylla's words echoed a truth he had long resisted. Survival demanded unity, no matter how precarious. It was then that Lyra appeared, a lithe figure emerging gingerly from the surrounding forest. Her eyes, sharp and alert, flickered with a mixture of curiosity and caution as she approached. Clad in muted mossy greens that blended seamlessly with the wild undergrowth, she moved with a grace born of intimate knowledge of the woods. "I hear you guard the orchard, Eamon," Lyra said, her voice steady though carrying an undertone of urgency. "My people have watched your struggle from the shadows. We want to help." Eamon regarded her carefully, the weight of his responsibility pressing down. "Why should I trust you?" he asked bluntly, his tone betraying the isolation that had become his constant companion. "Because the same darkness threatens us all," she replied, meeting his gaze unwaveringly. "The invaders come not just for power, they will bring destruction to these lands if we do not stand together." Scylla stepped forward, interceding with a nod. "We need their knowledge of the forest paths, their eyes beyond the orchard's edge." After a long pause, Eamon's resolve softened. "Very well," he said. "But betray us, and you will find no mercy beneath these branches." The alliance was fragile, its foundation built on necessity rather than friendship. Still, as Lyra led Eamon and Scylla through secret paths, shrouded in thick ferns and ancient oaks, a flicker of hope stirred within the gardener's heart. The forest whispered around them the rustle of leaves, the distant call of night birds, the scent of damp earth and moss reminders that life endured even in shadow. Back at the orchard's edge, a small band of forest folk gathered, their faces shadowed by hooded cloaks and resolve. Plans were whispered beneath the flickering light of a modest fire, strategies forged in the crucible of shared peril. Eamon listened, learning their rhythms, their knowledge of ambushes and hidden trails, and with each word, the walls of his solitude crumbled just a little. Yet, as night deepened, Eamon found himself drawn away from the murmuring council to the heart of the orchard. There, beneath the ancient limbs heavy with cursed fruit, he rested a hand on the gnarled bark of a soul-bearing tree. The rough texture spoke of centuries of silent watchfulness, of kings long fallen and legacies preserved. He closed his eyes, listening to the faint murmurs of the souls entwined within their hopes, regrets, and the unending cycle of power and sacrifice. The orchard was more than a battleground. It was a living testament to the burdens carried by those who came before. Tonight, with allies at his side, Eamon felt the stirrings of something new, hope tempered by solemn duty. The path ahead remained fraught with peril, but for the first time in many moons, he was not alone. But shadows lingered still, and the question echoed relentlessly in his mind: could trust, once broken, be truly mended? And would the bonds forged in shadow be strong enough to withstand the coming storm? As the firelight flickered and the cold night deepened, Eamon steeled himself for the trials yet to come. The orchard's fate, and the souls it sheltered, depended on it. "We move at first light," he declared quietly, turning back toward the gathered allies. "Together." And with those words, the fragile alliance was sealed, an ember of hope glowing defiantly against the encroaching darkness. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and smoldering wood as dusk settled over the orchard's ancient boughs. From a jagged outcrop overlooking the verdant expanse, a figure stood rigid, his gaze piercing the dimming light. Fenric, the mercenary captain, was a man carved from hardship and battle, a scarred visage framed by unkempt dark hair, eyes cold as the steel he wielded. His armor bore the dents and scratches of countless skirmishes, yet he wore it as a second skin, a testament to his unyielding resolve. "Hold the line." Fenric's voice rang out, sharp and commanding, cutting through the murmur of restless troops. Around him, a contingent of mercenaries adjusted their positions, weapons gleaming faintly in the twilight. The orchard lay before them, a tangled fortress of gnarled trunks and twisted roots, each tree a silent sentinel guarding the souls of forgotten kings. Fenric's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the defenses. The orchard's magic shimmered faintly like a veil, a fragile barrier woven by its guardian. But the mercenaries had their orders: to break through, to seize the cursed fruit and claim the power held within. Meanwhile, deeper within the encampment, shadows gathered beneath a canvas tent, its flaps fluttering in the chill evening breeze. Lord Marek sat upon a low stool, his gaunt frame draped in dark armor etched with arcane symbols that pulsed with eerie light. Around him knelt figures swathed in black robes, their faces obscured beneath heavy hoods. The air thrummed with whispered incantations, ancient words that twisted the night air into tangible dread. "The orchard's magic is strong," Marek murmured, his voice a low rasp, "but it is not eternal. The souls trapped within these trees are mine to command. With their power I will restore my house and crush those who defy me." The sorcerers nodded in silent assent, shadows flickering beneath their cloaks as they chanted in unison. Small bursts of dark energy leapt from their fingertips, striking the ground and sending tremors through the earth. The orchard's protective wards shuddered but held firm for now. Elsewhere, beneath the shelter of a twisted apple tree, Eamon crouched alongside Scylla. The fading light cast their faces in stark relief, his lined and weathered, hers fierce and determined. Between them, the ancient soil seemed to pulse with latent energy, whispered voices rising from the roots. "Fenric's tactics are brutal," Scylla whispered, her voice laced with urgency. "He won't hesitate to tear through the orchard if given the chance. We need to be ready." Eamon's gaze swept the horizon, where the first flickers of torchlight began to pierce the darkness. "I know," he replied quietly. "But brute force alone will not break the orchard. The magic here is older than any army. We must find strength in that." A sudden clash shattered the fragile calm. From the orchard's perimeter, mercenary scouts surged forward, their blades flashing under the moonlight. The defenders met them with staves and herbal charms, the air alive with the scent of crushed leaves and burning herbs. Steel sang against steel, cries of defiance mingling with the harsh commands of Fenric's men. Fenric himself led the charge, his war axe cleaving through branches and armor alike. Every strike was precise, every movement calculated to sow fear and confusion. Yet, even as the mercenaries pressed their assault, the orchard seemed to resist, roots twisting and branches swaying as if alive with will. Back in the encampment, Lord Marek's sorcerers intensified their ritual, dark energies coalescing into a swirling vortex of power. The ground beneath the orchard trembled, leaves shuddered, and the cursed fruit glowed with a sinister light. Eamon felt the pulse of the orchard's magic faltering, the cost of the invaders' arcane assault seeping into the very soil he had sworn to protect. "We cannot hold much longer," Scylla said, eyes scanning the battlefield. "But if we use the orchard's power, it will come at a price." Eamon nodded, the weight of his duty pressing upon him like the heavy earth beneath their feet. "Then we must decide what we are willing to sacrifice." As the night deepened, the battle raged on a relentless torrent of steel, sorcery, and will. Fenric's mercenaries carved through the orchard's outer defenses, while Marek's dark magic sought to unravel the ancient wards. Yet amidst the chaos, Eamon's voice rose above the din, calling to the forgotten kings whose souls lingered within the twisted branches. "Stand with me," he whispered, fingers brushing the bark of a cursed tree. "Together we will protect this place." The orchard responded with a surge of power, roots writhing like serpents, branches lashing out to fend off the invaders. The cursed fruit pulsed with a fierce light, both weapon and warning. Fenric snarled, rallying his men to press harder, while Marik's eyes gleamed with dark promise. The siege had only just begun, and the battle for the orchard's soul was far from over. But Eamon was no longer alone. With Scylla at his side and the ancient magic awakening beneath his touch, he prepared to face the tempest, to defend the legacy of fallen kings at any cost. The orchard held its breath waiting, watching, ready to strike. And in that stillness, a single question echoed through the leaves: how far would one go to protect what is forgotten? The clash of steel and the murmur of magic blended into a symphony of defiance, as the mercenary captain's grim command met the orchard's ancient will. The night was alive with peril, and the fate of the sacred grove hung by a tenuous thread. Fenric's shadow loomed large, but so too did the resolve of its guardian. The next move would set the course for all that was to come. In the heart of the orchard, the war was just beginning. The orchard lay shrouded in an uneasy twilight, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and the faint metallic tang of ripe, cursed fruit hanging heavy on the boughs. Eamon moved silently among the trees, his fingers brushing against the rough bark as if seeking answers from the ancient souls imprisoned within. The whispers of the fallen monarchs drifted faintly on the breeze, a chorus of sorrow and warning that seemed to stir the leaves in restless agitation. Around the small encampment nestled within the orchard's protective embrace, shadows flickered beneath the gnarled branches as the defenders gathered close to discuss the mounting threats. Scylla's fiery hair caught the last embers of the setting sun, her expression taut with worry yet resolute. "Eamon," she began, her voice low but firm, "there are signs that someone among us is betraying the orchard's trust. I found traces of unfamiliar footsteps near the northern grove, footsteps that do not match any we know." Eamon's gaze hardened, the weight of his burden pressing down upon him like the heavy cloak he wore. "We cannot afford division," he said quietly, though the knot of suspicion twisted tighter within his chest. "Yet if our defenses are compromised, the orchard will fall." Lyra appeared suddenly, emerging from the dense underbrush with a hurried breath and eyes wide with alarm. "I saw them," she whispered breathlessly, figures moving under the cover of darkness, speaking in hushed tones. "One wore a token I recognize, a mark of those who once served Lord Marik." The camp fell into tense silence, the flickering firelight casting ominous shadows over worried faces. Old Bran, seated near the hearth, stroked his tangled beard thoughtfully before speaking. "Betrayal has long been the thorn in the Guardian's side," he murmured. "The orchard's magic is bound by trust and secrecy. Once that bond is broken, the roots begin to rot." Eamon's mind raced, recalling the countless nights spent speaking to the trees and the souls they bore. Each monarch's story was etched in pain and sacrifice, a legacy he had sworn to protect. Now, that very legacy was threatened from within. He summoned Scylla and Lyra beside him beneath the canopy, their faces illuminated by the pale moonlight that filtered through the leaves. "We must uncover the traitor before they can do more harm," he said, voice steady but low. "This orchard is more than a grove of cursed fruit. It is a sanctuary, a living chronicle of kings long past. To lose it would be to lose the memory of all who came before." Scylla nodded, her emerald eyes fierce. "I will search the eastern paths for signs and listen for whispers among the roots. If the betrayer has left a trace, the orchard's magic will reveal it to me." Lyra's gaze flickered with determination. "And I will keep watch along the borders, swift and silent. No shadow will pass unnoticed." As the night deepened, Eamon found himself once again alone, the silence of the orchard pressing in around him. Memories of past failures haunted his thoughts, the family he had lost to an earlier invasion, the guilt that never quite faded. Yet amid the gathering darkness, a flicker of resolve kindled within his chest. He would not let the orchard fall. The coming days would test not only his strength, but the bonds forged in fire and shadow. Trust would become a fragile thread, and every whispered word might hide a serpent's tongue. Yet within this crucible, Eamon understood that the orchard's true power lay not only in the magic of its cursed fruit, but in the enduring spirit of those who tended it. And so, beneath the watchful eyes of forgotten kings, the seeds of doubt were sown seeds that would either blossom into betrayal or be uprooted by the steadfast will of a guardian who knew well the price of loss. The night air grew colder, carrying with it the faintest hint of danger, as if the orchard itself held its breath, waiting for the inevitable reckoning to come. Eamon tightened his grip on the ancient pruning knife at his side, the weight of history settling around him like a shroud. Tomorrow, the orchard's fate would hang in the balance. But for now, all was silence and shadow, and the seeds of doubt took root beneath the whispered canopy.